Okay, this video is called New Florence, and it's a quick little version of what I would call my utopia, with what I see as the way it would be nice for things to go, to start pushing things back in a good direction. So here is the city of Florence. It's sort of the art capital of the world, like a new Athens. You had Athens in ancient Greece, the golden age of Greece, and then during the golden age of the Renaissance, the Italian Renaissance, the High Renaissance, Florence was the big place. It's on the Arno River. It's north of Rome. Rome is on the Tiber River. Okay, both of course in Italy. Venice is way up even farther north. Okay. Rome, of course, is where Michelangelo got his training. In the book Civilization by Kenneth Clark, a masterpiece book and documentary series, the Dome of Florence is like civilization and Florence are like the same thing. Okay, it's the apex of civilization. Okay, this magnificent city in Italy. And the Italians have a really beautiful aesthetic sense. I went to grade school with a bunch of Italians. They always dress nice. They're super warm and friendly. I mean, the way their personality is great. Okay, so this is just giving you a sense of Florence. This is a painting of the Madonna by Cimabue back in the 1200s. And it was so much better than anything that had been done before. The people of Florence got all excited and they had a parade for it in the streets. This painting was done by Edmund Leighton. He's one of the pre-Raphaelite brotherhood of painters in sort of the Victorian Renaissance of the 1800s. Okay, but it gives you a sense of the personality of Florence. It's magnificent. So what I'm calling for is, in the USA, we should try to build new cities that are like a new Florence. To try to make them right and good. Get rid of all this modern BS, BS, communist, lefty crap that just tries to destroy people and destroy society. It's all based on trying to bring back slavery. If you don't know that, then you don't know much. So open a book and start reading. That's what it's all about. Whereas what I'd like to see is more things that promote freedom and individualism and beautiful creative work. And it's going to be based on Christianity. Anything beautiful and creative is based on Christianity. There are no other beautiful creative civilizations other than Christianity. I mean, if you're aware of one, show it to me, okay? What I've seen when I look around is all these other civilizations. Like, look at the Puritans, for example, and the early Protestants. They said, oh, art is idolatry, so they don't do painting. Most other religions that I'm aware of, they do not want their citizens painting. Well, how are you going to produce beautiful art if you don't paint? Okay, the caveman painted, all right? And then if you go in front of any building nowadays, it's always a statue that looks like a turd, like Thomas Wolfe said. Why don't we have beautiful statues in front of buildings? You go into a modern art museum, you see a statue of a turd, and then you see some nonsense on the wall with somebody splashed paint on the wall done by a kid. That's not beautiful. That's not civilization. That's crap. And it's the emperor's new clothes. And all these people walk around. Everywhere I go visit apartment buildings, office buildings, and I see this modern art crap on the wall. Why are people such a bunch of little wussies that they put that crap on the wall? Because they know that no one will give you a hard time for that. Why not put beautiful Christian paintings on? It doesn't even have to be a religious theme, but 99+% of beautiful art is Christian. 99% of beautiful music, it's Christian. Catholic music, most of this country and folk music, it's all Christian music. And even most rock and roll is Christian. Not all of it. Some of it's sort of satanic, okay? But I think the point is made. Okay, so here's Dante in the Divine Comedy. It's beautiful, okay? Christianity encourages creation of beautiful things, aesthetically beautiful paintings, sculpture, literature, music, etc. Why shouldn't we have that in our society? Why do we have to accept all this vulgar crap? We shouldn't. Why don't we teach the kids in school to eat a primarily plant-based diet? Okay. Here is Cosimo Medici, the first rich guy of the Medicis that helped to fund lots of art. They put big money into art. How come the rich people of the world now, the billionaire perverts and all the rest of the billionaires and rich people, why don't they ever fund beautiful art? Why don't they ever fund anything that helps mankind? They're always funding AI, which is going to be more surveillance control of us to screw us over, to kick people out of their jobs. Why are they always funding that kind of crap? Surveillance, control, internet, everything centralized, all this bullshit that hurts us. And then they want to put chips in our brains. They want an electrical car that they can turn off externally or crash us into a wall. Why not let us have our own cars? Why not let the kids learn in school how to repair a car? Kids can be taught that. When I was a kid, guys would repair cars. You could go to your cousin and he could fix your car. You had autoshop in all the schools. Now the schools are totally feminized with a bunch of nonsense and Scantron tests. Here is Lorenzo the Great, Lorenzo Medici, and the young Michelangelo is showing him one of his early sculptures. Lorenzo Medici wanted the best artists in the world to come to Florence, and he allowed them to live on his property and to get their training, and they get to be around other scholars. Because one of the things, in order to be a great artist, you not only have to be able to create something realistically and beautifully, you have to be able to pick a good topic and a theme. I look at many hundreds of thousands of art pictures, and I can tell you, most artists, there's lots of talented artists that can reproduce an image effectively, but because they're not intelligent enough or educated enough, they can't pick a good theme. And so they do a still life or some other stuff. And that's nice, but it'll never be magnificent. Okay, in Lorenzo Medici's school, you had Marsilio Ficino, you had Pico della Mirandola, you had other scholars that could help guys like Michelangelo, Raphael, and Botticelli, and Perugino, and all these other artists, Domenico Ghirlandaio, all these other artists, to know what to paint. So they make something meaningful and worthwhile that people would want to see. Okay, here's the Pietà by Michelangelo. Magnificent, the most beautiful sculpture out there. His mother died when he was young, about 7 years of age, and this statue is essentially him in the lap of his mother. It's just the most beautiful statue ever made in the history of the world. He's only about 23 years old when he made that. It's in the Vatican now. Here's just another typical magnificent painting of Sandro Botticelli from 1476, Adoration of the Medici. And some of the Medicis are in there, okay, like visiting the Christ child there. Okay, then here's what I was getting at when I was talking about New Florence. I realized that was a kind of a long intro, but this is what I was talking about. In the New Florence, we'll have a New Florence in America, in the USA. Maybe we'll make multiple, the New Florence of whatever state you're in. The art museums will have beautiful paintings and beautiful sculpture. Creators of real art will be given tax breaks to live in New Florence, so we can create a city that's beautiful, that people want to come to, okay? To recruit them to the city by giving them a good deal to live there. They'll be subsidized. Likewise for real musicians who produce real art where you can understand the lyrics based on melody, not based on beat. Something that's uplifting. And whatever style's fine. It could be classic, Christian, country, folk. Anything that's upbeat and positive, okay? The schools will be, and the public buildings will be beautiful. Either, Greek design like the Parthenon, Roman design like the Pantheon, or Gothic in design, okay? Like the cathedrals like the Ivy League universities used to be. Beautiful buildings will be encouraged. The individual homes, we'll have a contest every year. The most beautiful home, whoever has that pays no taxes for the year. So it will be rewarded. It'll be celebrated. It'll be, made prominent. People are aware of that somebody's doing something good. It's in everybody's interest to make the city look nice. I visited Europe back around 1980, and I was amazed at how clean and beautiful some of these towns were. They were extraordinary. The schools will teach the ancient Greeks, the ancient Romans, the Renaissance, and the Bible. Not all cultures. All cultures are not equal. Cultures where they have cannibalism are not equal to cultures where they're doing advanced things. That's just a fact. Okay, none of this BS. The Paraha, or whatever the hell they're called in South America, where they can't even count to 5, they are not equal to the Roman architects. Okay, Rome really didn't do much other than architecture, but it was good at architecture. They had Cicero and Quintilian, and they had pretty good oratory. Okay, the boys and girls will be in separate schools. They can go to the same school for up till 7th grade or up till 6th grade. And then in junior high, they go separated schools for boys and girls. Okay? Same thing in high school and college. Okay, I wouldn't let them be together. Maybe in college let them be together, but keeping boys and girls apart is a good thing because their hormones are raging, they can't control them, and they get themselves into mischief that's not good for them. We don't want all these young pregnancies. We don't want abortions. We don't want, no castrating children in school, no intentionally confusing them about gender, putting estrogenic chemicals in their water and their food to then confuse them about gender and then castrate them. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to let them live the life of children, and when they're older, they can figure out whatever they want to do. We're not going to euthanize the old people like they do in the MAID programs, medical assistance for dying. They're going to eat predominantly a plant-based diet, but they can have some animal foods too. We're going to try to minimize processed foods. They're going to be encouraged when they grow food to grow plants, to learn hydroponics, but also to raise chickens. We want a backup supply of food. For eggs, we're going to also teach them how to filter water, how to be resourceful. They should learn how to hunt. They should learn how to fish. They should learn auto maintenance, how to draw, how to start a business. Useful things that they can do all their life, not this bullshit Scantron test with history based on dates. They'll learn history based on biographies, okay? All activities will be based on merit and fairness. There'll be none of this DEI, communist, lefty crap about, everything is equal and everybody's equal. If you're a midget or if you're 7 feet tall, you're equal. No. Everybody will be, whatever they are, by their birth, by their training, that's fine. But there's not going to be one group favored over the other because somebody, is purple or green or whatever. Everybody just gets a chance, gets to try out, and either you got it or you don't for whatever the skill is. Okay, all citizens of Florence must sign an agreement to accept Christian ethics. We're not going to abort babies. We're not going to, if you lie and cheat and steal to the other citizens of the town, if you do it on purpose, there's going to be agreements of opinion about, what percentage of calories should you eat from starches or from fruits or something. That's normal to have disagreements of opinion. But if you're lying to the public, telling them that olive oil is good for their arterial health, then that would be considered you violated the trust of the people. Go live somewhere else, okay? We want to have a place where you can have an open debate, but you can't intentionally lie or screw over people, all right? Anyways, like imagine a Florentine person went to our modern art museum and saw statues of a turd. They say, you are degraded, disgusting people. And we don't want the schools, the schools will teach the Bible, okay? You're going to learn religion. If you don't like it, then don't live here, okay? But you have a much better society when people have the Bible. They're never going to be perfect. They're never going to be a bunch of saints, but at least they'll know that that's what they're supposed to aspire to. We're not going to encourage promiscuity in the young kids. We're going to keep the boys and girls separate till they're old enough, maybe till junior year of college or something. So they're old enough to have some sense before and we don't want them behaving crazy. We're not going to serve alcohol at the college, okay? I'm sorry, but that causes craziness. Now that might be a little too much. Anyways, the idea was we don't have to be degraded and degenerative. The goal is not to make America third world again. Why can't America be, really special and great like Florence was? I'm not talking about simple-minded crap you hear on the internet. I'm talking about this idea of trying to be like Florence. And where did I get this idea? I've been reading a lot about the history of Europe in the 1700s and the 1800s, and what motivated them was to try to be like the ancient Greeks. And I think it's too much for us to be like the ancient Greeks. Plus, the ancient Greeks, as much as I love them, they were the best of the primitive societies. They were still pretty primitive and brutal, okay? And I say Florence is a reasonable aspiration, okay? We can aspire to be a Florence, but being like the ancient Greeks, that's why they call it neoclassicism. Classicism is the ancient Greeks and Romans. And the 1700s and 1800s, they were crazy about the ancient Greeks. Why do you think Nietzsche was a philologist, okay? Why do you think Schopenhauer and Goethe and Joachim Winckelmann and, Schiller and all the rest of them were so obsessed with the ancient Greeks? Because the ancient Greeks were magnificent, and that's what they thought they needed to do to improve themselves and to improve their society. So I think for us to aspire to be like Florence will be good enough. Bring new Florence-type cities and communities to the USA, and it'll be a much better place.